Hey everybody, welcome back to our Tale of Despereaux Read Aloud. Today we're going to be reading chapter 36 and 37. And if you're in the mood, head over to that link next to the video and enjoy our book discussion. I can't wait to read your thoughts. Alright, chapter 36, What Meg Carried. And while the mouse slept, Vaccaro put his terrible plan into effect. Would you like to hear, reader, how it all unfolded? The story is not a pretty one. There is violence in it, and cruelty, but stories that are not pretty have a certain value, too, I suppose. Everything, as you well know, having lived in this world long enough to have figured out a thing or two for yourself, cannot always be sweetness and light. Listen, this is how it happened. First, the rat finished once and for all the job he had started a long time ago. He chewed through Gregory's rope all the way through it, so that the jailer became lost in the maze of the dungeon. Late at night, when the castle was dark, the serving girl, Vaccaro, climbed the stairs to the princess's room. In her hand, she carried a candle, and in the pockets of her apron were two very ominous things. In the right pocket, hidden in case they should encounter anyone on the stairs, was a rat with a spoon on his head and a cloak of red around his shoulders. In the left pocket was a kitchen knife, the same knife that Vaccaro had used to cut off the tail of a certain mouse. These were the things, a rat and a knife and a candle, that Meg carried with her as she climbed up the stairs. "Gore!" she shouted to the rat. "It's dark, ain't it?" "Yes, yes," whispered Vaccaro from her pocket. "It is quite dark, my dear." "When I'm princess," began Meg. "Shh," said Vaccaro. "May I suggest that you keep your glorious plans for the future to yourself? And may I further suggest that you keep your voice down to a whisper? We are, after all, on a covert mission. Do you know how to whisper, my dear?" "I do," shouted Meg. "Then please," said Vaccaro, "please institute this knowledge immediately." "Gore," whispered Meg. "All right." "Thank you," said Vaccaro. "Do I need to review with you again our plan of action?" "I got it all straight right here in my head," whispered Meg, and she tapped the side of her head with one finger. "How comforting," said Vaccaro. "Perhaps, my dear, we should go over it again." "One more time, just to be sure." Well, said Meg. Well, said Meg, "we go into the princess's room and she will be sleeping and snoozing and snoring, and I will wake her up and show her the knife and say, 'If you does not want to get hurt, princess, you must come with me.'" "And you will not get hurt," said Vaccaro. "No, I won't, because I want... You must come with me, and you will not hurt her," said Vaccaro. "No, I won't, because I want her to live so that she can be my lady in waiting when I become the princess." "Exactly," said Vaccaro. "That will be her divine comeuppance." "Gore," whispered Meg. "Yes, her divine comeuppance." Meg had, of course, no idea what the phrase divine comeuppance meant, but she very much liked the sound of it, and she repeated it over and over to herself until Vaccaro said, "And then?" "And then," continued Meg, "I tells her to get out of her princess bed and come with me on a little journey." "Ha," said Vaccaro, "a little journey. That is right. I love the understatement of that phrase, a little journey. Oh, it will be a little journey. Indeed it will." "And then," said Meg, who was now coming to her favorite part of the plan, "we take her down to the deep downs and we give her some long lessons in how to be a serving girl, and we gives me some short lessons in how to be a princess, and when we is all done studying up, we switch places. I gets to be the princess and she gets to be the maid." Gore. Reader, this is the very plan that Vaccaro presented to Meg when he first met her. It was, of course, a ridiculous plan. No one would ever, not for one blind minute, mistake Meg for the princess or the princess for Meg. But Vaccaro, as I pointed out to you before, was not the sharpest knife in the drawer. With your idiom work this week, you should be able to figure out what sharpest knife in the drawer might mean. And reader, too, she wanted so desperately to become a princess. She wanted, oh, how she wanted. And it was because of this terrible wanting that she was able to believe in Vaccaro's plan with every ounce of her heart. The rat's real plan was, in a way, more simple and more terrible. He intended to take the princess to the deepest, darkest part of the dungeon. He intended to have Meg put chains on the princess's hand and on her feet, and he intended to keep the glittering, glowing, laughing princess there in the dark forever. Chapter 37, A Small Taste. She was asleep and dreaming of her mother, the queen, who was holding out a spoon to her and saying, "Taste this, my sweet pea, taste this, my darling, and tell me what you think." The princess leaned forward and sipped some soup from the spoon her mother held out to her. "Oh, Mamma," she said, "it's wonderful. It's the best soup I have ever eaten." "Yes," said the queen, "it is wonderful, isn't it?" "May I have some more?" said the pea. "I gave you a small taste so that you would not forget," said her mother. "I gave you a small taste so that you would remember." "I want more." But as soon as the princess said this, her mother was gone. She disappeared, and the bowl and the soup spoon disappeared along with her. "Lost things," said the pea, "more lost things." And then she heard her name. She turned, happy, thinking that her mother had come back. But this voice was not her mother's. The voice belonged to somebody else, and it was coming from someplace far away. And it was telling her to wake up. Wake up! The pea opened her eyes and saw Miggery So standing over her bed, a knife in one hand and a candle in the other. "Mig," she said. "Gore," said Mig softly. "Say it," commanded Vaccaro. Mig closed her eyes and shouted her piece. "If you does not want to get hurt, princess, you must come with me." "Whatever for?" said the princess in an annoyed tone. As I have noted before, the princess was not a person who was used to being told what to do. "What are you talking about?" Mig opened her eyes and shouted, "You got to come with me, so after we take some lessons, you some long lessons and me some short ones, together way down in the deep downs, I can be you and you can be me." "No," shouted Vaccaro from Mig's pocket. "No, no, you are doing it wrong." "Who said that?" "Your Highness," said Vaccaro, and he crawled out of Mig's pocket and made his way up to her shoulder and situated himself there, laying his tail across her neck to balance himself. "Your Highness," he said again, and he raised the spoon slowly off of his head and smiled, displaying his mouth full of truly hideous teeth. "I think it would be best if you do as Miggery So suggests. She is, as you can quite clearly see, in possession of a knife, a large knife, and she will, if pushed, use it." "This is ridiculous," the princess said. "You can't threaten me. I'm a princess." "Well, we," said Vaccaro, "are all too aware of the fact of what you are. A knife, however, cares nothing for the fact that you are royalty, and you will bleed, I assume, just like any other human." The pea looked at Mig. Mig smiled. The knife glinted in the light of the candle. "Mig," she said, her voice shaking the tiniest bit, "I really do not think," said Vaccaro, "that Mig would need much persuasion to use that knife, princess. She is a dangerous individual, easily led." "But we are friends," said the pea. "Aren't we, Mig?" "Eh?" said Mig. "Trust me," said Vaccaro, "you are not friends, and I think it would be best if you addressed all of your communications to me. Princess, I am the one in charge here. Look at me." The pea looked right directly at the rat and at the spoon on his head. Her heart skipped one beat and then two. "Do you know me, princess?" "No," she said, lowering her head. "I don't know you." But, reader, she did know him. He was the rat who had fallen in her mother's soup, and he was wearing her dead mother's spoon on his head. The princess kept her head down. She concentrated on containing the rage that was leaping up inside of her. "Look again, princess, or can you not bear to look? Does it pain your royal sensibilities to let your eyes rest on a rat?" "I don't know you," she said, "and I'm not afraid to look at you." The pea raised her head slowly. Her eyes were defiant. She stared at the rat. "Very well," said Vaccaro. "Have it your way. You do not know me. Nonetheless, you must do as I say, as my friend here has a knife. So get out of bed, princess. We're going on a little journey. I would like it if you dressed in your loveliest gown, the one that you were wearing at the banquet not so long ago." Here is a picture. Let's see. It's hard to see, but that's the bed and the rat and Miggery, and they're trying to get the princess out of bed. "And put on your crown," said Mig. "Put that on your princess head." "Yes," said Vaccaro. "Please, princess, do not forget your crown." The pea, still staring at Vaccaro, pushed the covers back and got out of bed. "Move quickly," said Vaccaro. "We must take our little journey while it is still dark, and while the rest of the castle sleeps on. Ignorant, oh so ignorant, I am afraid, of your fate." The princess took a gown from her closet. "Yes," said Vaccaro to himself, "that's the one, the very one. Look at how it sparkles in the light. Lovely." "I will need someone to do my buttons," said the princess as she stepped into the dress. "Mig, you must help me." "Little princess," said Vaccaro, "do you think that you can outsmart a rat? Our dear Miggery So will not lay down her knife, not even for a moment. Will you, Megariso? Because that might ruin your chances of becoming a princess, isn't that right? Gore, said Meg. That's right. And so while Meg held the knife pointed in the direction of the princess, the pea sat and let the rat crawl over her back, doing her buttons up for her, one by one. The princess held very still. The only movement she allowed herself was this. She licked her lips over and over again, because she thought that she could taste there the sweet saltines of the soup that her mother had fed her in her dream. I have not forgotten, Mama, she whispered. I have not forgotten you, and I have not forgotten soup. Oh boy, I wonder what's going to happen next. That's the end of our reading for today, so we'll have to wait for tomorrow. But we are almost to page 200, and it looks like there are 268 pages, so we have about 68 pages left to go. So we'll be finishing it up in the next couple of days. I'm excited to see what happens next, and I will see you soon.